Tonight we're going to be talking about The Wonder on Netflix. So before we begin, like and subscribe. So I knew nothing about this movie going in.
Oh, before we started, though, I have a question. Our question of the day or of the night is Florence Pugh. I think I'm pronouncing her name right. What horror movie did Florence Pugh star in?
And which one is Florence?
She's the star.
The nurse.
The nurse, correct.
Okay. What horror movie? I'll think about it.
Okay.
While we're talking.
Right.
Okay. So
and the audience be thinking about it too. I mean, I'm
yeah.
sure if you're the few people who are watching this might know.
Okay. And don't Google it. You're not allowed to Google it.
You're not allowed to guess. No. But to guess, right?
Yeah. So back to The Wonder. Yeah, I didn't know anything about it, so I just pressed play, watched it on Netflix because you told me to, and it was a really, really good movie. I mean, I didn't again, my thing is if I don't fast forward it, it was a great film. So I didn't fast forward the film at all. I really enjoyed every moment of it. I was so interested and curious. I was the nurse. I related to her. She's this like caretaker, but then she has all these like, like horrible things have happened in her life, right? Like she lost her baby and things. I mean, I can't relate to that, but she's a caretaker.
War nurse. She was a nurse during the war.
A war nurse, but she's had a lot of trauma in life, and so dealing with her own trauma while she's taking care of this child, I thought that was just an interesting dynamic of the movie. And so it was really interesting to watch her portray that in her character, all the deep layers of that character. And then again, going back to what we were talking about with our previous film, X, it's the whole thing is based in religion. So that was interesting, especially coming from our background, raised Catholic from the very beginning. So this belief, I mean, because you weren't raised Catholic, right?
I was raised by the military.
Okay, gotcha.
Which is not much different than being a Catholic.
That's actually very true.
That's very true.
So just how deep rooted it was in that community that they were willing to let this child literally die because they wanted so badly to believe in something more and bigger, and that she was a saint, that they could make her a saint, and there's some sort of meaning. They're just like craving for some sort of meaning in life, and this little girl was going to bring it to their village. It was just a really interesting film. And then as far as it's just the way that it was filmed, the landscape was really beautiful to watch. And one thing that was fascinating to me, and I mean, I'm sure it was on purpose, was this little girl's not eating, yet the nurse, she just chowing down on that food like that.
You caught that too. There was a lot of dinner scenes.
Yeah,
I guess emphasize the fact that the girl's not eating, right? There's plenty of food around. She's just not eating.
Yeah, and she just made me want to go eat some good stew. So
good Irish stew.
A good Irish stew, and then the little girl was great. Like she was cast perfectly, and and then just the fact that the mother, the deep dark secret and the trauma that the child went through, and then of course that goes back to Catholicism for me. I don't know if they were Catholic. No, they must have been Catholic.
Irish or Catholic. The nurse is probably Anglican or Episcopal or whatever they call it, Church of England. I'm sure she could have been Catholic, but I don't think so. She wasn't really. She was more of a kind of the age of reason type person, believes in science, believes in reason, believes in logic, right, and not religiously oriented at all.
But going back to the nun, like, of course, in Catholicism and the way that I was raised and the way Mom sort of raised us is you take it and you don't admit, you just kind of like bury all your family secrets. And that's sort of what the nun allowed. Like she was going to allow that little girl to die. I mean, she didn't know the secrets that the nurse knew, but I mean, that's kind of what us Catholics do. So, It's just
But
a really great film.
she was, how did I put it? She was conspiring with them in her heart at the end.
True. And she
Right.
did redeem herself. She absolutely did redeem herself at
Right,
the end.
right.
Finally, because honestly, you never know. I
No, you
mean,
don't know. You know, because she
the next
lied.
that
I was thinking she was lying to the group of men, you know. Again, it's back to the patriarchs, right? The patriarchs are running everything, the guys are running everything, they just want to hear what they want to hear. I mean, there was some dispute among the members themselves, but in general, right, they're all, you know, they all wanted maybe a new tourist trade to come see the Wonder Girl, right?
Mhm.
To
Right.
make their businesses thrive, you know.
One thing that and then I'll let you go. One thing that I thought was interesting that this filmmaker did about the time period, and how do I say this delicately, was the nurse and her. He was a little bit more open with the way he portrayed her and her sexuality.
Yeah, they're
They don't normally do that.
both from London, much more metropolitan, much more
Yeah,
cosmopolitan than some country folks are.
but I don't feel like they don't normally do it in these kind of period pieces that is so like
No, I see what you're
thematic
saying.
as far as religious, and I don't know. I don't feel like they usually go there in these
Mhm,
kind of films, so that was a little surprising. It
mhm.
it just was like I
And some,
saw that time frame in a different way. Like I don't
right.
know. I just thought it was interesting, and that I mean, she had premarital sex with that guy.
Premarital sex.
That's their sex.
I just thought they had sex. Why bring marriage into this?
That's not allowed. That right? I mean, what would have really happened if someone had found out? Like, I don't know. I thought
Well,
he might.
then there'd be a whole other movie. It would be. I mean, in a not maybe in the novel there was something about it. It's a novel actually. It was based on a novel, so it was adapted, but maybe in the story itself.
I
Anyway,
just felt like women didn't have freedom like that. I just feel like if someone had found out, it would have been bad for her. But I don't know. That was a piece that I thought was interesting that he
oh,
included.
I thought about that too, but I figured if they pursued that part of it, it'd be a much longer movie, and then you have another side story. And I think the guy stayed pretty well focused on what he was trying to say, the theme.
But they could have left it out. Like it wasn't really a total. It wasn't necessary. I don't know. So I wonder why they kept that in or why they added it. I'm sure there was a reason.
No, it showed what kind of people they were. They're definitely city folk. It had nothing had no reason to be in some country village like that, other than for what they were doing. One was a professional nurse, another one was a professional, even though he was from that area. And he'd probably been living in London most of his life. He was, or most everywhere else, he's a professional journalist. So they're worldly people, and she was worldly too, right?
That's true, right?
And so, you know, worldly people look at, and people who were not religiously inclined, obviously they're showing. So I thought in a very, very quick in and out, as they say, which is like one of his favorite, another one of his little phrases that for a theme. And I thought a lot about that, in and out. But now I just thought about that too. The old in and out, you know, in that very short scene, you saw what kind of people they were, but they weren't like hindered by religion. They weren't thinking about that kind of stuff. They were just, they just wanted that release, you know, and they even made a comment about that after it was over, about how relieved they were. And there was no love involved. It was just pure, you know, tension relief, right? Yeah, I thought it was fine. Anyway, continue.
And that's all. No, I thought it was a really strong film. I really enjoyed the whole thing. So
okay, well, it was based on a novel. I couldn't tell you the writer, but again, I like to tie in the literary part of it, because again, this was a great example of just a Gothic story. I mean, you could call it Southern Gothic, but it takes place in Ireland. It was filmed in Ireland. Had a lot of Irish people in the crew and everything. I could tell by their names. So it was but the director was a guy named Sebastian Lello, who is from Chile, and he won the Oscar for the best foreign film a few years back about a transgender person. That I guess I have not seen it, but we got incredible reviews, so maybe eventually. It's not my type of subject matter. I enjoyed this subject matter because there in literature, I mean in just in history throughout the centuries, there have been people who said that they are able to live without food. In the book I read, Autobiography of a Yogi by Yogananda, he talks about visiting one who's lived for like 50 or 60 years without eating any food, just living on sun like a plant, like the doctor said. Now, is it a scam? Is it a fake cure, as they say, FAKIR? Is this BS, just a whatever scam? We don't know. I don't think that ever came up in Yogananda's book, but supposedly throughout the centuries there's been people like this. So I'm sure they were whoever. I don't know what drove the writer to write this novel, but it was a good place to start. And again, it explored his themes are that he likes to explore is how people's religious faith and how religious faith and how it influences people's behavior, which is an excellent example. So you got the two people who from London who have a very, I'm sure, minimal, participation in religion. If they see the inside of the church, they run the other way, right? And like a lot of modern folk are, and how they react to things, and then how the family, who is very religious, and of course they had what is the Gothic thing? Just a kind of a ruinous, old village coming out of the potato famine. I guess it happened a few years before, and then the dark family secrets, right? So it really contains all those things, and that's Southern Gothic is influenced by the Gothic, to a great extent. So you could, along with X, you could see even though they're kind of different movies, you can definitely see the parallels, right, between them. I always saw a parallel with it was kind of a flip side of The Exorcist, strangely enough, with the two priests coming to visit the girl. Now you got two women coming to visit a girl who's actually an angelic girl.
Right.
Either way, whatever what she thought her sins were or whatever, she was a perfectly wonderful being of light, right?
She was.
And nothing horrible about her at all. So it's like, I was quite I quite liked the girl, and I thought I'd seen her in another movie, but I guess it was as introducing her. So, and as it gets closer to the end, you really start feeling a bit of anxiety for what might happen.
Right.
I was really curious on spoiler alert on what might how she was going to figure all this out, and get away with the kidnapping.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bit. So
well done.
Now,
it was well done.
Yeah, the book might have more stuff on this, but is it maybe the people of the village just kind of looked the other way, even though they knew it was all BS. They were glad that she saved her, right? Kind of what the nun said, right? Is she going to be in a better place?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she kind of spoke for the rest of everybody else. So
I can relate to as a child, being that child, just being very religious. I was very religious. So she really believed, right, that she was going to save her brother.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I grew up the same way. I was raised, even though I said by the military, but for a short period of time living here in Thailand, I went to a school pretty much run by the missionaries, and so we got a heavy dose of the Bible every day, which evidently at the school now still exists. They don't do anything at all but we met and we had Bible study. We did all that kind of stuff. So, I got a good dose of it. So my knowledge of like a lot of Catholics don't even know the Bible that well because they just rely on the priest to tell them. which is the one reason the Protestants broke away from the Catholic Church, because they were tired of the priests being able to read and tell them what the, all about the Bible. But we can go into a history lesson later. But basically, the Catholic priests have way too much control, right, of their flock, as they say. Well, I think a lot of pastors in the Protestant also. And then you got the whole idea of the ego. But again, we're getting way off the topic here, which I could go on and on. Anyway, so anything else? The in and out part was interesting. And this whole idea of breaking what I did notice that the actress breaks the third wall 3 times, which she said was the holy number.
Oh.
Remember she said 3 is the holy number? Because she has to pray 33 times. Well, at the very beginning, the actress, they start out in a studio before they go to the actual scene, and she's talking. So she's broken the fourth wall there. And then she breaks the fourth wall by looking into the camera at one point when they have a little discussion with Florence Pugh. And then at the very end, the camera moves away from them at the again eating, from them eating at the right. Mm-hmm. They're eating again at the very end, and then it moves away. And I think and then it goes through and she says in and out, which can have many different meanings. One about the movie coming in and out, because he showed the little flip thing, right? Is the bird in the cage or out of the cage? Are these characters in the movie or are they out of the movie? Right? Yeah. So he took it to another, in his filmmaker style. I mean, foreign directors are much better at doing this than, for some reason, American directors are. At this kind of playing around with the idea of film and what it is, and messing with time and space and all that stuff. And American directors are more like, just tell the story straightforward. Like one famous producer said, if I want to, how do you put it? If I want a message, I'll contact, some message service or something, right? He's not interested in messages. He just wants a story, right? Mm-hmm. So, but this whole in and out thing, I thought was very interesting, But again, he does it 3. I thought about it. Was it 2 times? No, it was 3 times, because the first was a voiceover that brought you into the movie and then brought her out of the movie, in and out. So again, I'm not. It's maybe too much for my little brain to understand, but that'd be interesting. I don't know what really. I mean, do you have any thoughts on this in and out thing?
I don't.
What that was all about, because it kind of like raises above the story. Yeah. And now I'll probably be laying in bed one night thinking about it, and all of a sudden, oh, that's what it means. Yeah. But right now, no clue, other than just it was an interesting way to break the fourth wall in a couple of places. And what did you think of Florence Pugh, the actress?
She's beautiful, absolutely a beautiful woman. And
you should see her, and I just saw her online in some glamour shots. Whoa. Yeah, she played her. They played her even in both the movies I've seen her in. I think I've seen her in more than just 2, but the 2 that really stick in my mind, this one and the other one. She's a beauty without. She doesn't use makeup or anything, or very little, right? So.
She's just beautiful and a fantastic actress. So,
and good actress, yeah. And she underplays everything very nicely. Mm-hmm. She doesn't well, she can get very emotional. I've seen her. I think she gets pretty emotional in this one too, doesn't she?
Yeah.
But I think that's the thing. She underplays so much of it, and then when she does get to the emotional part, it really carries a punch, right? Mm-hmm. So, anyway, it was as far as the rating goes, I don't know, 80% maybe, just because it's entertainment value.
Yeah.
I kept seeing you pushing on some of those scenes where he just, it's a classic foreign film guy. They like to take their time. Or she's just sitting at the bed and we're just sitting there watching. Oh, I said, oh, Genevieve's hitting fast forward on this one.
No, I didn't. So.
Yeah, it was beautiful cinematography and the way that lights filtered into the cabin or into the house and everything. It was pretty amazing. And there's only a few sets besides the outdoors, maybe again in and out. in and out, outside and the inside of the house, and you know, and you're into the religion, then you're out of the religion, you're in the religion. I don't know. Can mean 1,000 different things, right? You have to interview the director, I guess. But anyway, it's thought provoking, interesting. It's not. I don't think it was based on a true story, but it could have been true, because I know there's been many cases like this. Even today, you get the Scientologist, not the Scientologist. I'm sorry, the Christian Scientist, who, and we even had one of our family members, right, who was a Christian Scientist, and he refused to get any help for his problems, and he finally passed away. So I mean, it still goes on today that people want to put their faith in God, and then we could go into politics about that too, and not critical, don't use any critical thinking or reason. It's just, and then you could see bad things happen because of this right in front of your eyes, and they still continue to, anyway. So 80%.
Yes, 80%. And let's answer the question.
Oh, and the question is, go ahead.
You asked me what other horror movie she's been in.
Or what? Yeah.
I don't know. I texted she's not I'm asking.
I don't know. Maybe she was, but I don't think so. The movie I saw that she was in, Midsummer.
Never seen that.
You have to see that. That's a pretty amazing movie too. A little bit lengthy, but well worth it. And that's the first time I ever saw her in a movie, and she was quite good in that also. That's one of those kind of jaw droppers that you really don't know what the hell's going on here. But it's definitely got his horrific, right? Takes place at like Sweden. She goes to a Swedish commune or some kind of weird Swedish enclave for the summer. And I'll leave it at that. So if you ever get around to watching it. Anyway, so The Wonder was a movie on Netflix that is well worth watching from a world-class director who's already won an Oscar for Best Foreign Film. So if you get around to watching it, I highly recommend it. And that is all. Like and subscribe.
You are a winner, Senior Side. A winner! Enjoy this glorious moment, for soon the battle will begin once again. Once again.